and now I'm crying because I'm just like so alive. Like I've never felt this alive, and in times of sadness I've also never felt so like it's so in my body in times of like grief. And I don't want to call it like a bad thing, because when I'm dark and when I'm talking about polarities now, polarities present, because at the hottest hot of the summer, the hotter it gets in the summer, I believe the colder it gets in the winter. And that's why global warming is a duality. There is no such like thing as, people think global warming isn't happening because they're like, oh no, it's colder this winter. And it's like, yeah, because the hotter it gets, the colder it's gonna get, because the world is a balance. So the hotter it gets, nature, oh my fucking God, nature is going to fucking like take that the opposite way back. It's like nature has its own ruler set in. I've been designing underwear and it's so fucking hard to make straight lines, and it's just like the nature has its own ruler. It has the perfect straight line. Even if things go off course, it adjusts. And so the hotter it gets, the colder it gets. The happier you become, or the more content or the more fulfilled you become, maybe the lower lows are also possible for you if they have yet to be entered into. And until things like really even out, and you just maintain the stability of peacefulness. I think that is what it is. And then you still have that like little teeter-totter, right? But those energies are available to you. And I'm not saying they are going to happen. I'm saying that depending on where you are at in your journey, if you are still adjusting and if you are still balancing out, and I am very much still balancing out. I really believe a lot of us are always balancing out. It's like an every single day experience, unless you are like a monk or, oh God, what's that? Ram Dass, right? Like, like her Jesus, like some prophecy, or Buddha, those people figured it out. They figured it out. They were able to maintain a balance for longer periods of time. And that's all it is. It's kind of like meditation. When you're aware of your breath, the longer you could be aware of your breath in a meditation, that's kind of just like achieving more mental strength, like concentration. You're just growing and strengthening your concentration. So how long can you continue to stay focused on your breath without letting a thought seep in at all? And it's like a lot harder than it sounds. So it's like that. Like, you're constantly kind of teeter-tottering, and just like a handstand, right? It balances everything. And so just like a handstand, my fingers are never like still on the floor. My fingers are always kind of teeter-tottering. My hands kind of just subtly adjusting. And if you notice, when you're standing, your hand is doing the exact same thing. Your feet, when you're standing, your feet are also doing the exact same thing. They're subtly adjusting when you're standing still. So it's this constant kind of teeter. And so sometimes if we're not honoring our cycles, or if we're in a season of shadow work that we really feel like we have a lot still to journey through, so there's a lot of muck built up if we haven't been on this journey for our whole lives, right? We've let things shadow us, and it's this constant journey of kind of getting rid of the clouds to really see the truth, really see the clarity. And depending on how much stuff you have, right? So when you go into these dark periods, these shadow times, it can get really low, I'm saying. It is available. Depending on maybe how open you are, right? If you are more open, then you might be more fulfilled in your highest of highs. So the more open and free you feel in yourself, the higher you will feel. And then your lows also, if you need to still get up the gunk, it'll go lower because you've allowed yourself to enter into the trenches. You've moved past the blockages that were not allowing you to see deeper into the truth, because you have to see it. If you've never seen it, if you've never processed it, if you've never brought your conscious awareness into it, you have to at some point in your life, or it will haunt you from the depths of your soul. It's just truth. So, but in order to do that, it's a good thing, because the lower you go, the more deep you go into yourself, the happier you will feel in times, or the more at peace, the more content. I don't like using the word happy because it's such like a, oh God, I need to merge. I promise I'm paying attention to the road. I think about all this shit in my brain anyway, so I might as well film it. But what I should get is a phone thing for my car, because I like to talk with my hands. So anyways, oh man, I should get out of a drink. Okay. You have to get the gunk out. So the more open you are, the more possibility of contentness you are available to feel, because you are more free, because you are more open, because you are getting to know yourself, because you are starting to love yourself. Because it's just like a relationship. If you're not in love with your partner and you're still trying to make it work and live together, it's hell sometimes. Like, you could be literally living in a hell in a relationship because you are not filling the space with love. You're filling the space with animosity, bitterness, right? And you're still living together. You can have that same relationship with yourself and you don't even realize it, right? You could still be living with animosity, bitterness, judgment, shame. I mean, think of all the things, negative things that you could do towards another person. You could be doing that to yourself subconsciously, meaning you are not even aware of it, because I did this for so many years. Negative self-talk, negative like tangents in my mind, stories, detailed stories. Like, I could have written like 20,000 Harry Potter books by this point in my life, with the amount of detailed stories that would just go on in my head without my realization of them. And in my recently I've just started to become more aware of them, and I'm like, holy shit, no wonder I struggled with an eating disorder. And I don't blame anyone. It's nobody's fault that this is me, but my energies and my experiences has all reacted, chemical reacted to affect me how it has, and now, and it just has. And I am so thankful all the time, so thankful that I have been given the opportunity, pushed into the opportunity. My friend Mindy told me the other day that Hazel, because I struggle with Hazel's dad sometimes, and I just was like, I want to get over this, right? Like the judgment and the rejection that I felt in that time period of my life, and that'll be a whole nother blog post. I have a book about that, actually, that I need to finish writing. But she told me that, Briella, Hazel was a soul contract with you. The universe knew you needed some love, and so they gave you Hazel so you could learn to love yourself. And it's just like, it's so true. Like, you need to love yourself, and the universe will try and help you, right? They will try and help you, but you can make choices, because we have choice. We have free will, whatever you want to call it. We have choice to choose against what is put in front of us, right? The universe gave me a baby. What if I had chosen, and I am not saying anything against, I don't even want to say this because I don't want to say anything negative towards abortion. I believe that whatever babies leave us, their same souls enter in again in another time. It just wasn't the right time. It does not mean anything negative. I believe even if maybe I had made the choice to have aborted Hazel, I believe she would have entered in the same soul at another point in my life, and I would have just postponed this journey I've been on. That is all I'm saying. I believe that wholeheartedly. I have nothing against abortion, but I am saying I could have postponed my journey. And so if I had made the choice there are choices in life. Choices dictate your direction in life, but I believe the universe always tries to put you back, right? The opportunity presents itself again in another way, maybe in another context, but it's still there some point in your life, depending on the choices when it gets there. I believe it always will get there if you allow it space to, right? So if I would have aborted Hazel, I would have experienced this just later. And I am so thankful that at 24 years old, the thought of abortion never crossed my mind, and I had my daughter, and I learned to love myself. I was forced to learn about myself, to realize all the negativity towards myself, to realize that I had an eating disorder, and to realize that I had built up so much shame and judgment towards myself my entire life. And I needed that journey, and I needed the rejection from Hazel's dad, and I needed everything that to happen, and I'm so thankful, and everything happens perfectly because it happened, because there are no mistakes. I say this to Hazel all the time. There are no mistakes in creation. There are no mistakes in creation. There are no mistakes in creation. We are all creations. There are no mistakes in creation. There are only, you do something with it. You make something with it. It's not a mistake if you learn something from it. It's not a mistake if you use it. It's not a mistake if you use it. And so I don't even know where I was going with all that. But yeah, we need to learn about ourselves. And then the more we learn about ourselves, the more even that balance will be. And maybe the level will be so up here and we'll have this like heightened energy if that's who we are, if that's what energy manifests in us. Like me, I have the capability of this, right? I'm a fucking spaz ball. I could definitely be illuminating at this hyper energy a lot of the time, but also I could kind of be a little balanced, right? And I could still be peaceful and content, but maybe I'm not bouncing off the walls and not able to sleep every single night, because that's been my energy this week, and it's like the first week out of my period, and I have a lot going for me right now, and I've been really psyched about all the connections that have been happening in my life, and I just feel like I'm so thankful, and I've just like really been working on my headspace and really been working on my mental space and really been working on my inner dialogue, and it's just like, it's just cool to see it like pay off. I don't know, like the wave crashing, like the seasons happen even when there's not a third quarter moon, there's not a fall season, right? The fall season would be the waning moon. I'm getting those benefits right now. Those seasons happen whenever they happen, because it happens perfectly. Everything happens perfectly because it happens. Oh God, I've been just driving around in circles. I don't even know where I'm going right now. I've been driving safely, but I've just don't know where I'm going. I should go to Target. That's where I should go. I'm gonna go. Oh my gosh, there's a Michael's right here. I'm gonna go to Michael's, everyone, to get poster boards so I can continue designing my underwear. But goodness, like freedom. It is what I want to preach. Freedom. Anything you desire. Why the fuck not? You know? So I'm gonna go to Michael's and I'm gonna be done, I think. Unless I get another download. You might see me back. This will end up into like an hour-long YouTube video. I was gonna like brand my YouTube videos as like short little YouTube videos, but like, who knows? I'm not gonna brand it as short because then I have to make it short. All right, anyways, sending love. Thanks for listening.